stop going live and just go live. Oh, hi. How are you? My name is Robin. You know that if you're subscribed to my channel. I've been up most of the night. Maybe, no, I slept for a couple hours. I might be lying. I can't remember. Anyway, I am a goody two-shoes. Now I'm getting all awkward because I was like, sometimes I talk to the camera and sometimes I don't. And sometimes I need to ignore the camera and sometimes I don't need to. But this is one of the days that I need to talk to you. So I'm going to. So if you're watching this, and you're not watching it live, excuse me, I just burped. I don't know if you heard it, but I just want to make sure that you knew. Excuse me, this is my fire pit. I dug out and then put the actual fire part next to it because I was like, fuck the pit. I don't like it. And then I call him my adopted dad because I adopted him as my dad because my family at one point during my divorce was told by God that they needed to leave me alone. And I said, you guys are crazy. Blah, blah, blah. God didn't tell you that. Blah, blah, blah. Angry brat. Because that's what I am. I am a self-proclaimed brat. Rachel will tell you that she's the one who told me that I was a brat, but I knew I was a brat way before she ever told me. But she did confirm it, so that's for Rachel. So I am a little Miss Goody Two Shoes, and when my dad blessed me with a house to live in, to work on and live in, so that we could do a project together. He did so because he was so impressed by what I had done at my old house, and also how my ex-boyfriend Dakota and I had somehow survived through the coldest part of the year with no power, no water, and we made it out the other side clean and happy and thriving and doing really, really, really well. My dad, being a very, very thoughtful and very optimistic, but also unfortunately go away, B. Oh, you're a big one. I don't like big ones. Somebody said that those are moths. I don't buy it. Anyway, my poor father did this because he saw what was happening and he struggled. Because in the midst of a divorce, I found a man who is not only worthy of my love and deserving of my love, but who loved me so much and was so aware and honored by and appreciative of the fact that he had found a woman like me, or he had found me, because there are lots of women like me, but he found me. And suddenly both of our lives were different. And well, this can't be because Robin married Keith. So if she suddenly found the one, if there were to be one made for each of us, then that can't be right. That means she picked wrong the first time. And Robin doesn't pick wrong. Robin always does the right thing. And Robin always knows exactly what she's doing. And she's very contrived. And she's very strategic. And she's very loyal and she's very honorable, and there's no way something's not right, because Keith doesn't deserve to be left at this time in his life. Robin couldn't have made a mistake, so one way or another she had to have. So that is mind-blowing to my poor father in and of itself. Then there's the fact that it was under tumultuous circumstances. The fact that my children appear so much like Dakota that now it calls into question, has this been going on a long time? Did Robin lie to us for years and years? Are the children actually Dakota's? And then Keith is telling my parents truths that they had no business knowing. And I'm faced with a decision. Do I tell everybody the truth so that I can be very clear that this is what's true and we can weed out the stuff that's not? Or do I lie, and try to keep up with it? Robin does not wear this shoe well. So Robin, in her infinite wisdom, decided to be honest. Well, that caused a conundrum of epic proportions, because I'm a liar. Surprise! I'm a liar, just like everybody. I don't know everything. I am a fastidious bullshitter. I don't even know what that fucking word means, but I'm sure I used it correctly in that sentence. If I didn't, please correct me. But see, I'll say that shit, and people are like, she sounds like she knew exactly what that meant. So if I hadn't gone on that little tangent thing, then you would have been like, and she's got a big vocabulary, and she's pretty, and her boobs are kind of floppy, but I can forgive her for that, because if she put a bra on, it'd probably be fine. I bet she spends so much time exercising. How does she have time for all that? Blah, blah, blah. And then you would be left hating me. I would still be sitting here talking, unaware that you hate me. And it wouldn't have changed the fact that nothing that you presume is true. Nothing that I say is necessarily true for you. And I'm still left sitting here trying to make a fire. And for some reason, it won't work. No matter how much paper I put on, no matter how dry it is, no matter how much it was burning not very long ago. But I believe, as most scientists, or as the scientists have discovered, that fire is a living thing. Did you know that? You please do fact check me on this if you're interested, because I find it fascinating. Fire, which was once believed to be an element, is not. Fire is alive. And I've been out here playing with fire for months now, because when my dad challenged me he didn't even tell me, actually. He took me out, and I was like, this is so weird. I don't know what the hell is wrong. And he accused me of being on drugs again, blah, 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 blah. And then I find out it's because the bill was $500. And rather than just tell me, hey, Robin, it was $500, so I'm going to need $500. He was like, no, Robin's going through some things right now. I can't ask her for money. I'll just kick her out. And then I don't have to deal with the problem. I have a lot on my plate because I'm 72 years old. I still work full time. I've got several homes now that I've got to keep up with. I understand that what I did and asked her to do was a lot to put on her. But instead of just admitting that I'm somebody who adores my daughter and thinks the world of her and thinks that she is a superwoman, couldn't accept the fact that, one, she made any mistakes at all, ever. Two, couldn't accept money from her because a good father does not do that. But then he went like real weird with it, and then it's like, I'm taking you to the YWCA now. And I was like, no, you can't do that, because I already called them one time when we got in an argument. I was like, fuck him, I'm not living here anymore. And they were like, oh, there's process. They didn't even tell me the process. They were like, no, you're not being abused, right? Like, they could tell that I was like not in a crisis. And they were like, no, you, like, it's like a whole thing. And they just like wouldn't tell me how to do it. And I was like, you guys must be pretty good at your job if you can tell that I'm not a woman in crisis right now. But kind of, man. They did not offer me alternative housing options in the area, which I personally, if I were to be critiquing them, which I guess I am right now, I would have been like, but if you're in a really bad living situation, are you on probation or parole? Well, parole doesn't exist anymore. So I'd be like, are you on probation for anything? Well, yes, actually, I just so happen to be on probation for something. Oh, great. Contact your probation officer. She will give you housing options, and she will be more than happy to assist you with that, because I'm sure that she knows, because they would also probably assume that I have a female probation officer, as I feel like all females should, because I did have a male probation officer get inappropriate with me and then throw me in jail when I said that was a little inappropriate. Don't you think? And then suddenly I had 3 probation violations in one day. Thanks, system. You worked really well that time. But hey, instead of going to jail for a year and a half or 9 months, which is what the judge told me he would have given me, I got to just take a guilty plea on something that I'm certainly not guilty of. But the way that I looked at it, and I still do, is there were times that I was guilty of being in possession of methamphetamine. So I took one for the 2 boys who did not want to get in trouble, because they are drug dealers. They not were drug dealers. They are drug dealers. Because one of them delivered drugs to a friend of mine while I was in the car with her. And I was like, oh, hey, you're still doing this. Like, you're not like just throwing every girl under the bus then, are you? And I laughed like that, like, because I was literally like, I had no hard feelings. And he did not like that. Ouch. I should not have said that, probably. I apologize, Mr. Drug Dealer. I'm sure you had your reasons. Like the 2 little boys that you have at home, that even though you don't ever have them at your home and your grandmother raises them, they're important to you. And you suddenly saw me versus her, and it's always me. I'm the same way. Actually, I'm not. Like, and I'm not saying this to be ironic or stupid or whatever. Because I told Dakota, as we drove by Amherst County Jail, I said, Dakota, with all the time you have hanging over your head, if you and I were ever to be caught with drugs, I'll tell you what, like, I would take the hit for you, because I wouldn't want you to have to go away for all that time, because it's not fair. You'd lose your youth. You'd lose your opportunity to have children. You'd lose everything that I already have. So, and I could just take first-time offender. I remember I said that. And I was like, and that's not that bad, because I'm not using drugs right now, and I don't ever plan to again, because I'm so happy with you. And he was happy with me too, and he said I would never ask you to do that, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, God put me to the test, literally, less than a half hour later. we just so happened to stop by a friend's house who just so happened to be about to get an arrest himself for something that they had an arrest warrant for. But the cops actually sat by the wayside and watched because they thought that they were catching us in a drug deal in the moment. So they thought they were going to bust a lot of people all of a sudden. So as as I am wont to do, I was being silly, and Dakota even said, "Hey, go knock on his door and say, cheese it, it's the cops," or whatever. Or he said, "Say whatever that stupid thing is that you say." And I was like, "Cheese it, it's the cops," and he was like, "Oh, I don't like that. Don't say that. Just bang, 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 like you're a cop, and say it's the police or something stupid." And I did, but I said, "Cheese it, it's the cops." I did not follow instructions. I apologize, Dakota. And when he answered the door, he's like, "That's not funny, Robin." And I was like, "I'm sorry." I remember because like my face suddenly fell because I was like, "Oh yeah, that wasn't funny." Because like, and he goes, "The baby's asleep," and you almost woke him up. And then he smiled at me, and I was like, "Oh okay." I was like, "Oh man, you really had me freaked out." Because then I started thinking about all the thought, and he was like, "Stop talking. What's wrong?" And I said, "Oh well, your best friend's out of jail, and he wanted to come and see you, and we're so excited." And blah, blah, blah. And he was like, "Oh really?" And so like, what we've been doing was driving around all day saying hi to all his friends, because if you've ever been in jail, you know that the first like couple weeks that you're out is like really hard, no matter how long you've been in. And because even 10 days, it was like a really big adjustment. And so I was, without knowing that at the time, because I'd never been to jail at the time, I was trying to make all of Dakota's dreams come true, because he made mine come true just by coming home and being him and being alive. And unfortunately, that day, I sent Dakota to the house. I went back. I said, "I gotta go text my dad." So I went back to the car. I just started speaking with my father again after our tumultuous, like, very, very, very difficult separation, I guess you would say. Like, we didn't speak for a long time, and that was really hard for me because I was going through a really hard time. Plus, I was too proud to tell my family, but I was living in a house with no power, no water, and I remember my hair was really singed when Dakota got out of jail, and as he was brushing my hair out, because I hadn't brushed it in weeks, and I hate that sound. Dakota was mortified to see how I had been living for the several weeks before he got out of jail. I had told him a couple of little lies. Like I said, I'm a liar. And I had made it sound a little bit better than what it was. I kept telling his mom that I couldn't go see him because excuse, because I didn't want her to see how I was living. Nobody knew. I was sleeping in a closet. I was using bacon fat and yarn from some knitting projects that I had uncompleted to heat the closet. I was wrapped up under a ton of blankets, and it was about 50 degrees, 51 was the last time I looked at it, and it got colder than that. It got a lot colder than that. I had tried every closet in the house. I found the one upstairs in the very top of the house was the warmest because I did the math on that, and you know, heat rises. I used the bacon fat because I had run out of candles and wicks, and I didn't know what else to do. And my fireplace was not inspected. I still kind of laugh at that because I didn't even try a fire in the fireplace because the fireplace wasn't inspected. So I was worried I would set the whole house on fire. So instead, I kept setting myself on fire in a little tiny closet, sleeping under a bunch of blankets. Most nights I didn't sleep at all. Um, at all. Um, because it was so cold, I would just shiver and it kept me awake. Then I had a few guys, and I'm saying guys because it was males, offer to come in and catch me a buzz. And I was so distraught because I did not want to use drugs. But I knew that that would get me warm. So I struggled with that, but I would say no. Or so, actually, a couple times I said yes, and then the guys didn't show up. So I was left sitting there, like texting them, crying, like, "Why didn't you come?" And they were like, "Oh, damn, you were like trying to, have sex, whatever." And I was like, "No, I really, really wanted the dope." And then there was a bunch of people, guys, who were telling everybody that I had become a fiend, because they thought that that was what was happening. So then it went from, hey, Robin was like this really cool chick that like I liked and would have totally dated, and now she's a fiend. Like, what the fuck is going on? And then a bunch of people were talking about me behind my back, and I found out, through the grapevine later. But so I kind of inadvertently created a nightmare for myself, because I was too proud to admit that I was cold and alone and lonely and suicidal. And every day, all I kept thinking to myself was, he'll be home in so many days. He'll be home in so many days. He'll be home in so many days. And, I said so many, obviously. I said however many days it was. I'm explaining this because I have a young audience that watches. So, anyway, he never told anybody what that looked like. It was pretty terrifying, I imagine. I don't think it was terrifying because it just was. It is what it is. I don't cry about that part. I cry about the emotions behind somebody loving me that much. I'm not even crying about it now. Like, that's incredible. Somebody loved me that much. Like, I've had friends love me so much that they do anything for me and then prove it. I've had my kids love me so much that they were honest with me when it hurt. I had a friend who loved me so much, he was honest with me and it hurt, and he sat there and he goes, "You still holding in there? Because there's more, so I'm going to keep going and just get it over with." And I said, "Yeah, keep going." And I sat there sobbing, and he said, "The first time I met you, I thought you were hot or whatever, and now I just have this respect for you, and I just want to see you as a mom, because it sounds like it was pretty incredible." And I showed him a video that meant nothing and wasn't impressive. And he said, "I don't want to see it in video. I want to see it in person. I'm going to help you, whatever you need." He got arrested later that night. I haven't seen him since. This was just a couple months ago, or well, a month ago. Anyway, I was given the opportunity outside of our friend's home to do the honorable thing by taking the charge, doing the honest thing by remaining neutral, or to do the wrong thing and to tell. Because that would have been tattletaling, and I had just said I wouldn't do that. So either way, tattletale or not, I had just promised this man that I wouldn't do that. So why would I go back on that? So obviously, tattletaling, no, wasn't even an option. Um, Doing the truthful thing was easiest, so that's what I did. I did not do the honorable thing and take the fall, because in that moment he did a little bit of a dishonorable thing on accident because he has a tendency to put his foot in his mouth. So to get back at him, instead of going far the other way, I just went neutral, which is pretty much my go-to move. So the lesson today from this whole huge story that I just told: I'm tired of just being zero, neutral, middle zone. My inspiration originally for being a semi-crunchy mommy was my son. So the reason I was able to learn so many skills that kept me alive during that time that I was really, really cold, and the reason that I inspired a lot of people to start gardening and start thinking about the way that they keep their home or cool their home or do any of that stuff. It all started with a little boy who I don't get to see anymore, but who I know loves me and I love him. And I know he's getting away with a lot of stuff right now, and I just pray to God all the time that eventually one day we'll be reunited. His daddy is making a decision right now based on hurt, because I heard him. He is not thinking clearly, because if he would have asked me for help a long time ago, because it's hard raising 2 children on your own. I know, because I had to do it for a while. I had to do it in the midst of a lot of adversity. I had to do it in the midst of my family dipping out on me and suddenly calling CPS on me all the time, and a lot of bad decisions being made by everybody else around me, including Dakota, who I'm not putting him on blast. I'm just saying facts now. Who, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to be diplomatic in the way I say this. Made the decision that he didn't want to be with me anymore. See, I did it right that time. And who then later decided he absolutely wanted to be with me, and was willing to sit there and brush my hair out and deal with the disgustingness of my house and the unfortunate truth that he was now in love with a mentally disabled person, because I gave myself a stroke when I tried to kill myself. So he went into jail. No, something wasn't right in my head, but none of us knew exactly what yet. While he was in jail, was only finding out bits and pieces, knowing that we were all lying to him about certain things, knowing that some of the things were because they didn't understand, very frustrated with me because he knew the woman that I was and knew that I should know what was wrong, and I was keeping it from him. But at the time, I couldn't really articulate exactly what had happened, and then I didn't really get confirmation until I had a CT of my brain, which confirmed a TIA. And I explained to the doctor what happened, and he said, "Oh yeah, that would do it." He said, "Well, you didn't put yourself in heart failure. Are you disappointed?" And I said, "Yeah, I am." Okay, he said, I mean, I can run an EKG and we can see if you want, but are you going to do that stupid shit again? And I said, no, no, sir. And I remember he said, like, he started tearing up and he said, um, I'm glad that you were wrong because uh, I told him all the calculations I had done and everything I had done to try to hurt myself because I used a medicine. And he was impressed that I was still alive. So I am too. Every doctor I've said it to is also impressed. Um, and grateful and happy that I was wrong. And I am too. So I'm not always right. Let's start there. I started all this because of Landon, and he said that. I'm doing this still because it saves money on my electric bill and it makes my dad happy. I still get kicked out every so often when my dad thinks that I'm high, especially when I'm happy when I shouldn't be, which is right now. You know, one might assume that I would be, you know, really tired and cranky or whatever, but actually I thrive on little amounts of sleep because that's what being a mother is, to be quite honest with you. I love playing with the fire, so this is like fun to me. And I've enjoyed getting to know fire as an animal like me. And I'm really enjoying the fact right now that I'm seeing white and blue in those flames because that means I can melt some metal. So I'm going to go grab some metal. I'm going to stop this. I'm just going to keep doing this today as I feel compelled to do so because that's how God speaks through me. This probably didn't help you. This probably did help you. This probably was intriguing enough for you to get to this point where you're listening to this part. So something I said resonated with you. And if whatever it was resonated with you, then keep watching. Because even if it's just for the drama, I've got a lot to say. And I am not promised tomorrow. I wasn't promised today. I'm grateful for all of it, even the bad stuff. And well, holy hell, if I was going to become a pastor and I'd known that, I would have probably thought you were lying. But then again, it kind of makes sense. But I am not creating a cult because that's a violation of my probation. I just want people to think about the world a little bit differently. And I've been told by some of my viewers that that's what I do for them. And I keep saying step one is blank, and then I change it all the time. But this is one of the steps. Learn to know fire. Learn to respect fire. Learn to love it. And learn to appreciate the fact that all the time we are learning new things about this beautiful world that we live in and realizing that we're wrong all the time. And that's what makes this fucking place amazing. I fucked it up at the end, but I'm just like watching the little embers dance. And I'm just in awe right now because I've just been sitting here poking at this thing, not really paying attention to whether I'm saying the right thing or whether I'm doing the right thing. And in that, I feel like I did. Oh, and Also, if this didn't speak to you, don't watch it. Don't leave a mean comment. You don't need to, because I'm aware of the fact that some of the things I say um, didn't help you. I'm also aware of the fact that some of the things I say um, might upset you. But if I upset you, then say that I upset you and why. Because that's where you're hearing something that's a reflection of something going on in your life, and you probably need to talk about it. And I'm here. Now, I won't actually read the comments. I'll try to be better about that. But if nothing else, find me on Facebook, Robin Hunter Oyster. My address is 744 Elon Road in Madison Heights, Virginia. And I'm not afraid to give that information out. Somebody said to me, "Aren't you worried about stalkers?" And I'm like, no, I literally have had stalkers, and I've literally, like, turned them over to God. And then they thanked me. I actually had one admit that he was trying to hurt me. And he did. He hurt me. And I'm not asking for that at all. But I also know that if you are somebody who feels compelled to drive all the way here, it's not because you want to hurt me. It's because you want help. Just like Chester the molester in jail. He kept going into the turtle suit so that he could come down and talk to Robin, because he wanted somebody to know that he had been molested as a child. And what was really, really horrible of me, so Chester, if you ever watch this, by the way, that was his first name. And it's very unfortunate. And I'm so sorry that they called you that, but you do have to admit that that's I'm sorry. But it's not funny. But that's where the kerfuffle is. And that's what the kerfuffery is. And that's what I'm working on today. I feel like I said something wrong. I'm sorry, Chester. I'm so sorry. But let me finish my apology to you. I should have allowed you to say it out loud. I shouldn't have finished that sentence for you. Because sometimes you just need to say it. So to get it out. So that you don't have to live with that sick in you anymore. And and that's why I was like, I know. Like, and I hope that you understand that. Unfortunately, as a medical provider, I do know that most child molesters are such because they were molested as children, and they don't understand the sick inside of them. And I know, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry that anybody did that to you. And I wish I could take that pain away, and I fucked it up by finishing your sentence for you. So if you ever want to finish that sentence, then please come here and say it to me. Please don't hurt me, which I don't think you would. Please don't try to hurt my children or any other child. Just come and say it to me, and I will be your friend. Because you are deserving of love. And I didn't need God to tell me that, to know it. Okay? I've learned a lot from God, though. And I've been put to a lot of different tests, so please hold me to that one. Okay?